Hello, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Flop on the Tyne. Was it a bad day at the office? 1-0 defeat to Newcastle at St James's Park. Lots in the news. Edu leaving. The boys are on their way to Milan in the morning. And then we Chelsea at the weekend. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Trevor. Good evening, Alex. And welcome, Andrew. Alex, I'll send you the notes in a second. They're not coming up on here. I'll send them in a second, so you've got them. So Trevor is in a hotel close to Stansted, ready to fly out in the morning, 3:30 alarm. Alex is in Copenhagen, 3:30 alarm. And Andrew is in his man cave. Andrew, welcome to the show. Hello.
Hi, chaps. How are we doing? All right?
Yeah, good.
Good to have you on.
Glad I haven't got a 3:30 alarm in the morning. To put it that way.
Half three alarms don't count when you go into football. They come easy.
Good point.
Just pinging these notes across to you guys. 1 second.
Do you know Trevor, what? Right? What's the point in us starting the podcast if you're not ready, Fergus? You've
ready.
had all day doing nothing while we're all working hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely nothing.
And by the way, I'm not near the airport. I'm right next to the runway. I hope these noisy planes pack it in soon because I'm going to sleep when we're finished here.
1 a.m.
Right
apparently.
on the runway. Right on the runway.
Last flight flight out is 1 a.m. We've done nothing, haven't we, Andrew? Andrew and I both work in the same industry, and it's been, for me, I've been with the same company as Andrew works for 18 years, and it's been the busiest time in 18 years. But otherwise, Trevor, you're right. We've done nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you agree.
Let's get into this game because I know you guys are conscious on time and everything else. Newcastle away. The lineup. Let's have a look at the lineup. We had Raya, Partey, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, Rice, Marino, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, and Havertz. Trevor, I spoke to you about the lineup. I spoke to you about the lineup probably about fourth floor of the of St James's Park. I thought you were going to be dead by the time you got to the top of there.
Yeah. Do you know what, Ferg? I normally get the lift up there, but my lad was with me and he don't come to many games anymore. And he said, "Come on, Dad, we'll walk up the stairs." Well, when I got to the top, I was in bad need of a beer or oxygen or whatever. It is a long, long way up those stairs at St James's Park. I hate the place. Hate it with a vengeance. As for the team, Ferg, I wasn't upset with the team at all. Partey was the only option for me at right back. Did find it a little bit confusing that White could come on later in the game and Timber could be moved from left back to right back. It was a bit of a kerfuddle for me. But I wasn't upset with the team. I like the front four. I like the back four. And Rice and Marino in the middle. I thought, okay, we've got plenty here to beat Newcastle. And we actually, up until Newcastle's goal, I thought we played all right, I really thought we were playing very nicely up until Newcastle's goal, but we'll go past that in a minute when the other lads have had their say, won't we?
Alex, White on the bench and Partey playing right back. If Ben White's good enough to be on the bench, he's surely fit enough to play. Would you not have started him? And then you could have had a stronger lineup. You can always take him off.
Yeah, I feel like we've had that conversation many times with players starting on the bench, and then we say, "Oh, shouldn't they be starting if they're fit enough to be on the bench?" But I mean, we don't really know their fitness level. They might have assessed him and said he can only play 30 minutes. But yeah, I think we miss Partey in midfield. I thought maybe Timber could have started right back and then Zinchenko left back, but I mean, we all know he doesn't trust Zinchenko, and maybe reasonably so. He didn't look too good when he came on. But yeah, I was I was happy to see Gabriel being back, and like Trevor, I thought we had a really strong team and a strong enough team to get a result up there.
Andrew, it was a strong enough team, and Trevor's right. Like the opening 10 minutes of that game, we were quite strong, and I did feel that it was. Look, at least even when they scored, I still felt comfortable that we were still in control of this game and we were going to score. What did you make of the lineups?
I think the lineup should have that team of that 11 should have beaten Newcastle all day long. I mean, it was perfectly strong enough to go and do what we needed it to do. But like everybody, if Ben White is on the bench, then why didn't he start? I still don't like Thomas Partey playing where he does. He's got to be in the midfield for me. But even I completely agree. I mean, me and Theo sat and watched it, and 10 minutes into the game, and I'm saying to him, "Mate, we're doing this." I'm talking 3-1. I'm thinking in my mind, and then even when they score, I'm still saying, "No, mate, we'll do this 3-1. It's not a problem at all. It's fine." And just as the game went on and on and on, it was just like you could just kind of see it like slipping away. It's just like, what's going on here? And I think that was part of the frustration that nothing changed.
Trevor, while you were walking up the stairs, I said, "Have you seen the Newcastle lineup?" And you went, "No, I'm not really fussed, but is Gordon playing?" And as it happened, it was Gordon that put that absolutely fantastic cross in for Isak to score that goal in the 12th minute. Before that, it was everybody's shots from long distance. There was nothing really, was there?
I'll tell you what, that was Newcastle's goal was a goal of some high class. It really was. And my worries about Gordon were proven to be true. Blimey, Ferg, we're only 2 minutes in and
he's gone already.
He's gone. He's gone. He's leaking.
That was quick.
Do you know he leaves a trail when he goes, right? Because he's that desperate. Oh, he's back. Look, that was quick. You're right.
It just crashed. Sorry.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I was just saying that I thought that Newcastle scored a goal with some high quality, and Anthony Gordon proved my doubts, my worries to be correct, because it was a great cross and it was a great header. The goalkeeper had no chance. He had no chance. So we go 1-0 down, and you're thinking, right, if we keep playing like we have been before they scored the goal, then we got a way back into this game. But the goal seemed to change the game completely. And for me, there's 3 massive points that I'll leave you boys to talk about. Firstly, the goal massively lifted the crowd. The crowd were noisy from that point onwards, and that's massive at Newcastle. Secondly, Newcastle immediately changed their game plan. They didn't go into defensive mode, but they went into no risk mode. Pope was wasting time as much as he could, and Newcastle took no risks. And thirdly, about half of our team, the Arsenal team, seemed to stop doing what they'd been doing well. I came out of the game after really quite worried. And I've got a list of what developed in my head during the game. But I think it's important you boys, Ferg and Alex, and Andrew, think about what happened. What did the goal do to us, Ferg? You know what I mean? Because we seem to change.
Yeah. Well, I did say, and I think Arnie picked up on it. I did say on the preview show, I think it was, about getting the first goal. And I think Dan, who's not here tonight, also agreed that getting the first goal was key for the exact reason that you said, Trevor. That stadium is a noisy, intimidating stadium for a big stadium. And we saw it when we had that final game of the season a couple of seasons ago up there, and we saw it again. The crowd really rose, even though it wasn't the most spectacular game. The first goal was key. They got the first goal. We had a few chances. Saka came close, and he trickled wide. Andrew, Saka really was the only bright light. Him and maybe Raya were the only bright lights that we had on the pitch that day, don't you think?
Yeah, he was. But you know what? You've got to put your hat off to their one of their backs. Hall. Is it? What? I mean, he played so well, didn't he? I mean, he kept Saka quiet all the time. But also, every time Saka went down the wing, there was always somebody there. They were doubling up on him all the time. And I'm going to come back to again that Ben White bit. Look, I know we're jumping further in, but you look when that substitution was made later in the game, and how much we actually managed to get down that side with the 1-2 passing between Manweri and Ben White as well into Saka, and it just frustrates with it. We didn't actually make that change earlier, but no, he's the only, he had that header at the back post where, the ball was chipped up. Havertz chipped it across. He couldn't really get any more power on it to get it to make the save. So, but he was the only player that looked like he was about to do anything. And I agree with Trev. Some players did look tired, and sort of it's just been put in the chat there. It's 70 minutes. Even Rice looked absolutely shattered.
Alex, I forward says on here, Saka seemed to be isolated without Ben White overlapping, and Partey doesn't run on the outside. And on the opposite flank, you Timber, both of which seem to they don't offer as much. So Martinelli was quite isolated there, by not getting the service, and so was Saka. And then added to that, we don't have Odegaard, which we all know. Trossard has been good as as an interim, but we didn't have any creativity in the midfield. I was watching my local pub watching it, and when we went 1-0 up, everyone was going, "Oh, that's good for my Aka because that's the one goal I needed." Everybody thought Arsenal were going to create and do more and win this game, but there was nothing creative. We went up and down the flanks, but nobody got any service anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't seem to work. The 4-4-2 he's been playing quite often this season, and I think a lot of the creativity has to come from Trossard when he's playing that role he does, and he just had a really, really poor performance. A lot of his passing was off. He had a couple of opportunities to send Saka through. Saka made some good runs, and he just couldn't hit any of his teammates. I thought he might have been hooked by Arteta at halftime, but he kept to what he put out in the first half. But I mean, credit to Newcastle as well. They were sublime off the ball. They worked really, really hard, doubled up on the outside, on the wings, and then really compact. Just didn't allow us much space. And yeah, we just seemed to lack the intensity and that creative spark that you talked about. And yeah, it's obvious that we miss Odegaard in these kind of games where we're on the back foot. And now I think it's 4 in the last 6 games. We've had to come from behind now. So it's becoming a bit of a problem. The opposition scoring first in the 31 previous games to that, we'd only conceded first in 4 games, and now we've done it in 6. So I mean, that's a massive difference from last season. So we need to find a way not to concede first in so many games, because it's difficult nowadays. The opposition in Premier League is so good now. We saw it with Bournemouth. Luckily we weren't the only team to lose them. City did it as well.
No way we won that.
Yeah. I mean, the teams in the Premier League, they're just becoming so good. So we can't afford to get behind.
I'm going to have a point about City and Liverpool and some of the other ones in a few minutes. But Trevor, with your vantage point being so high up in the gods, it's like watching a game of FIFA or whatever from in that particular stadium. And being an early kickoff, you wouldn't have had that much beer. Did you notice how Trossard and Havertz combined together again, using eye for wood? He's having lots. We've not seen him before. He came along and said there's a stat going around that they didn't even pass the ball once to each other. Did you notice any of that?
Do you know what, Ferg? I didn't. That specifically, I didn't notice. I haven't got down. But now you mention it, what I have got down sort of tallies up with it, because I've got to run through what my list of gripes are, right? Because obviously I'm on my phone and I've only got a little bit of paper here. I thought that Havertz's movement didn't seem right to me. We had the ball in midfield a lot, and we were setting it sideways because there didn't seem to be any openings. But what's that to do with Trossard? Because I thought Trossard was off as well. I thought Trossard kept finding players in black and white a lot more than he found players in red and white. I really did. Marino and Rice, I'm beginning to wonder if they want to play the same game. They seem to be getting under each other's feet a lot, right? And I'm hoping we've been saying, and I'm hoping it was only his first or second start, wasn't he? That Marino will grow into this side, right? And he'll be all right. We'll take it from him. He needs to. He needs to, because he wasn't very good on Saturday. When he had the ball at his feet, there were players in space and he didn't find them at all. Didn't find them quick enough for me. Rice, I've never seen his set pieces so bad. We couldn't get it past the one-man wall. We couldn't beat the first defender at corners. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
When did the interesting point? One more, then I'll shut up a minute. What minute did White come on, boys? Any of you know?
71st.
Yeah, you see, because
Too late. Far too late.
Saka had gone down injured just before that, and I think
Mm.
he must have been carrying a bit of pain because White kept putting these balls in. 2 or 3 times he put the balls in behind the defender, and there was no one running onto it, right? Like he normally does. White always does that. And I said to my son, White's playing the ball into nowhere behind the defence. And my lad pulled me up on it. He said, Dad, he's doing it because normally Saka wants that ball. Saka's on the end of that ball. Saka's running in behind the defender, cutting in and scoring a goal. And Saka wasn't doing any of that. So I'm wondering if he was carrying an injury.
Someone went down the
There
back
was
of
all
his
sorts of
Achilles, didn't
things.
they? And I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
proper, like, and you
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
him yell on the TV.
Some
You
good
heard
knocks.
him yelp.
Yeah.
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 It's that,
It seemed to slow him up. He wasn't running forward. He wasn't running forward at all. So
Yeah.
the problem for me was Marino Rice didn't do it on the day. Didn't do it. So we had no inventiveness in that midfield, like Ferg just said. We had no one to move the ball forward. Havertz, I don't know what. All right, we're all saying Havertz is a great centre forward. Great centre forward. He's going to do
He's
the
not a
business.
centre
He's been scoring goals, right? But is he what we need? We've got to start thinking about that. Us Arsenal fans have to ask that question. Not slagging him off, not saying he's a bad player, but is he what we need in that position? Because going on the last couple of games, it's a massive fat no.
He is what we need is as a player, but it's not the player we need in that position. He's not a centre half. He's not an out and out number 9.
He's not a centre half.
He's sorry, I misheard you then, Trev. But he's not a centre half, and for him to be shoehorned into 9 and 10, 9.5 position is really weird. Andrew, I'm going to come to you because there's a comment in the chat. Let me bring it up here from Daniel, and he says, with a bad day at the office, Newcastle did what they did, and the ball was barely in play. They're just as good at the dark arts. And there's another image that we have here of how defensive they went 1-0 up, and then it was like 10 behind the ball, and only Isak up top. They rolled over. Trevor mentioned it earlier. They rolled over. They broke up play. The goalkeeper went down for about 4 or 5 minutes with an injury he didn't have, etc., etc. How do you get past a team that just decides to be like that when you don't have the outlets we have in particularly Odegaard and etc.?
You've got to get. I mean, you look at that picture again. You know where they are, and they've set up, haven't they? I mean, that looks like a proper old school 1-0 to the. I mean, look at the just 2 banks of 4 just sat there. But you look how much space Saka's got on that side. And we need to get the ball out to him to run in, but we just didn't, because you look at the ball wasn't moved quick enough. It was just going left and right, left and right, left and right. We weren't getting it into the channels to get them to do the crosses. And I think I saw something else on when I was looking through some of the stats. And you look at how many crosses we actually put into the box. None of them, I think 6 were actually failed. So no one they never actually found anybody in the box. And then you look at it again, and you've got Partey, you've got Rice stood at the edge of the area, and there's nobody actually in the box, and nobody was moving. But we just sat there and just the Newcastle were quite happy for us just to keep knocking it left and right in front of their players, because we had 69.5% possession in that second half, and we never ever got anywhere near the goal.
Alex, Declan Rice, Partey, Marino, all playing in that sort of defensive role. As Trevor mentioned earlier, I don't think Rice and Marino work well together. Maybe we should have thought about Jorginho, and maybe that's what we should do on Wednesday night. Rice couldn't get, rightly as you said, Trev, couldn't get the ball past the first man in any set pieces. And if you look at all these passes he made, how many forward passes? I don't think there's any forward. There's very few forward passes in there. The key to Declan Rice.
How many passes into the box though as well?
Yeah, I know. The key to Declan Rice when he was at West Ham was breaking the lines, and we saw him last season. He's played more in the Granit Xhaka role, although that's not his favourite role. He was enjoying it, and he was creating an awful lot more. How would you use him better?
Yeah, I think he hasn't developed as well as we'd maybe hoped for as in the 8 role. He's definitely become better than when he was at West Ham, but we might just accept that he's a better 6 I mean, he had some good runs into the box against Newcastle. I remember one run in particular where he almost got a good finish off, but I don't think he offers enough in the 8 role. I just think we've got better options there, and especially with Odegaard out, he just doesn't offer enough like line breaking passes and creativity in the final third. And then when he doesn't really get into the box either, he might just be better off as a 6 and leaving the more creative role to some of the other guys, Partey in particular. I think we really lack his creativity in midfield, and his way of dictating the tempo. And yeah, just in the game as well, I just thought everything was off, like the timing. So many times where like regular passes we'd see normally, like when Ben White came on, the one where he plays it into Saka when he's cutting in from the right hand side, that they couldn't get that one right, which is usually it's there every single time. So yeah, there's just so many things, like the timing was just off, and then yeah, I don't know, the substitutions, I think we're allowed to question them as well. He brought on Zinchenko and Wanyeri, didn't he, in the 61st minute? And Zinchenko just didn't look good, did he? He tried a lot, and fair play. I mean, he's brave when he's on the ball, but I mean, it just didn't work for him. I think sometimes he wants to play the decisive pass too much, instead of just like keeping it going.
He nearly
keeping
cost
the
us
flow.
a second goal. He nearly
Exactly,
cost us a
yeah.
second goal. So
Yeah, he
Trevor,
took way too long on the ball.
Trevor,
I think-
interesting to
right.
ask you. Trevor,
Sorry.
sorry, before you, interesting to ask you.
Sorry.
When Ben White came on at that, what was it, 70 minutes? There was about 10 minutes or so while Partey was on the pitch and he was moved further up. And in that 10 minutes, I think he created more and broke the lines more, taking Marino off and pushing him up, and putting Timber on. No, I think Timber came off for Ben White, but but it did seem to look like. Go on, you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I do know where you're coming from, mate. I'm not huffing at you. I'm huffing because of the way that we are having, and we are having to talk about our great side tonight, because we don't become a bad side overnight. And I want to give, just before I go on to answer that question, and I will answer it. Newcastle do deserve a bit of credit because they played a great game of football. They absolutely nullified us. Went 1-0 up, switched off, and made sure that we couldn't pass the ball. We hardly strung 2 passes together after. And is that our fault, or is that their fault, or is it just a bit of both? You mentioned Zinchenko, Ferg, and he did try his hardest when he come on, right? But his hardest ain't good enough. I don't think his head matches what his feet can do, with Zinchenko. I think up here he thinks he can do all sorts of things, but down at his feet he can't. And if he just concentrated on what his feet can do, instead of thinking up here that he can do better, then he'd probably be a better player for the Arsenal, I think. Because he didn't improve us at all when he came on. When White came on, Ferg, we found it absolutely baffling. After Zinchenko had come on and he'd moved Timber over, we're thinking, what's going on? What's going on? The only thing we could think of was that White only had 20 minutes in his legs, so he got 20 minutes.
I don't think Timber had much time left in him, but yeah.
As for the Rice, Marino, Partey thing, do you know what? Out of everything, that's what's worrying me most at the moment, because without Odegaard, your inventive play needs to come from a little deeper with the Arsenal, right? It needs to come from your midfield players. And although Partey's a superb player, Rice is a superb player, Marino, we're not sure. We've not seen enough of him. We just didn't get enough movement. You showed that graph just now. I was shocked, Ferg, at the amount of sideways passes that we played. That just shows that we are not, either we're not moving up front for the forward pass, which I was a bit worried about Havertz's movement at times, or we just packed it in and thought we ain't going to win this game. I'm a bit confused about it all, Ferg, which isn't difficult with me. I know I'm easy to confuse, but I still can't get my head around. Exactly. But I still can't get my head around exactly what went wrong, because it went wrong big time. We weren't very good at all.
As I
at
said,
all.
as I said earlier, the two players who I thought performed well were Saka and Raya. Raya made a save against Willock, I think about 20 minutes into the second half. We had a few chances. Declan Rice made a run, one of the few runs forward, Andrew, and he did take a shot. The commentator said it took a slight deflection. I couldn't see any deflection.
I didn't see it.
But
No.
it went past Pope. He had beaten the keeper if he could just got the curl on it properly. But it was probably the most decisive and positive thing. And again, please don't get us that we're slagging off our players. We're not. We're just trying to analyze the game a little bit. But probably the most decisive and positive thing that Declan done in the game. Bar the last opportunity.
The last one, yeah, the header. But you look how many. You look at if you go back and watch the replay of that, and it just sums. Again, let's give credit to Newcastle, which pains to say, but you look at 4 players chasing him in the box to get that shot off, and they were on us straight from their minute. They just closed us down so much quicker, and they were on. They will not give us a minute just to get that ball under control, which is why I say we needed to move it quicker. Where was that slick 1-2 touch passing that we needed to do to pull them apart, to bring the wingers into the game, to get the ball over to get the crosses in. But you can see him going through, and it's just kind of like we're trying too hard to try and make an impression. And I think that's Zinchenko as well. Zinny, I liked him, but that one where he goes to play the pass and then completely misses the ball. It's just that's mad.
Andrew, did you think we missed Odegaard's leadership? Because Saka was captain, and for me, I don't normally like forward players being captain. In this scenario, I probably would have given the captaincy to Declan Rice or Gabby, number 6, or even Saliba. But maybe Saliba's a bit young. But do you think that not having... Do you think... Are we missing Odegaard's leadership? And how do you think Saka done? Because he done great the other week when he was captain.
Yeah, Saka's one of those players, isn't he? He plays. He's our best player, and he plays. He puts the ball in the back of the net, and he brings the team along with him. So come on, lads, follow me. Let's, we're going to do it. What we missed with Odegaard, I think, is we just missed that person to be able to take the game by the scruff of the neck and change it. You look at Jimenez. He controlled that midfield, and he controlled the tempo of that midfield for him. But with what Odegaard gives us, he's got that ability not just to find the pass, but is he kind of like the second coach on the pitch? Is he the guy that's just telling, that's making those changes, to where we can do it, because he can see what's going on from the centre of the park, and he can see those passes, and he can see what we need to do. And I think the other thing he brings as well, I mean, when Joe Linton tackled Saka in the first half, I think it was, you see him turn around to the fans and absolutely rile the fans up.
Oh,
he got the fans absolutely going. Jimenez celebrated a throw-in like he'd scored a goal, and
he's crossed a blade of grass, and he's gone.
Yeah,
pumped.
Odegaard gives us that, doesn't he? He gives that time where he turns around to the fans and he likes, we need some help here, guys. We've got to get going. And there was just a lack of leadership on the pitch for me on Saturday.
Go, Trev.
Yeah, it's a good point. I worry greatly now because I don't want to think that Odegaard. I know Odegaard will make a difference to any team. He's a fine player, and we're suffering without him. But it worries me to think that we can't be progressive without one player in the side. We should have other options. We should have other people that take up that mantle. I'm not worried about the leadership because I think we've got enough leaders on that field to fill in anyway. The captaincy doesn't worry me. But the fact that we apparently are so reliant on Odegaard, so reliant on him, with no other options to break down defences, worries me greatly. It really does worry me indeed.
Alex,
go on.
Alex, lots of people are calling for Nwaneri to start at Bournemouth. They were talking about the starting here and bringing him on as a sub, and they were calling from early on. There's a huge amount to put on the young lads' shoulders, but I think he's big enough and strong enough to hold that mantle. But on the back of Odegaard, and everything seemed to be that we lose Odegaard, we lose all that creativity. 2 questions in this. So the Nwaneri thing, where are you? And secondly, with the departure of Edu, so Edu and Co, have they dropped a clanger in the summer by letting not necessarily Vieira, but Smith Rowe and Vieira go and not have cover in the event of Odegaard getting an injury, considering he wasn't injured for like 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, on 1 year, I think they're.
Jesus.
What are you saying, Trev?
You nearly burst my eardrums, mate. What have you done?
Nothing.
Have you let it into your mic?
What?
Is it me or has he gone really loud, Ferg?
It's all right. He was leading away before. I'll turn him down. Go on, carry on.
You scared the crap out of me, man. Like, what?
You scared me as well.
I thought you thought in the chair there, Trev.
No, I think on 1 year, I think they are pushing him more and more now, and giving him more and more minutes. And I think we are about the point to where he's ready to start a full game in the Premier League, especially with how we're playing at the moment and how much we're lacking creativity when he gives it to us when he plays. And I know it was only Preston, but I mean, it just shows what he can do. And for me, it's just
he tried it though, didn't he? He tried that shot again.
He did, yeah. He did, yeah. And that just shows he's not scared to play, and doesn't really matter the opposition. He plays his game, and yeah, I mean, he's got some different qualities to Odegaard, but I mean, the pace he plays the game at already at 17, and his first touch, and the way he sees the game, I think, yeah, we've got a gem on our hands, and I think he's ready to play full 90 minutes. In absence of Odegaard and the creativity we lack. And I think in regards to Vieira, I think he needed a full season of playing 90 minutes. He just didn't look ready. And he's only now starting to get into the Porto team. So, I mean, I think that was a good decision. It's difficult. They didn't know Odegaard would be out for that amount of time that he is out for. Smith Rowe, yeah, I mean, we would have liked him now, wouldn't we? He's playing really well. He's playing really well for Fulham, so that might be the one where we look back after the season and think,
that was the one I thought. Yeah, that was the one I thought that was. Especially when Vieira went last minute, I thought, oh Christ, I wish we hadn't let Smith Rowe.
But it's so difficult because I mean, Odegaard could have played the full season. You think,
and he gets no minutes, and yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
While we're on this point, can I sling something in there for you boys to talk about as well? And what I thought that we had no inventiveness. We put that down to missing Odegaard. But when Zinchenko come on, was that his problem? Because he immediately went into his midfield position. He didn't stay in the left back position, and he was trying to move the ball about a little bit, and he was going nowhere. So did he realise that we were missing the ball mover, the Odegaard, and try and play that game when it's not his game, when he's not capable of it? Did he realise that? And the second point for me is that I'm quite happy with the minutes that Nwaneri has had up to now, right? I think that he's 17. He's given minutes. He got a full game against Preston. He got half an hour against Newcastle. But if we've realised where our problems lie, and they lie in the number 10 position or wherever Odegaard plays, and we're not getting any cover and we're not doing it, surely we've got to give Nwaneri a shot from the start of a game, just because it won't make us any worse. It won't make us any worse at all. It'll give us Odegaard's energy. It won't give us Odegaard's experience. I don't think it will give us Odegaard's passing skills, but it will certainly help us with the press that we're missing at the moment with Nwaneri on the field. And Nwaneri can score a goal as well, as he's shown us. So the way I look at it is, I'm not upset that Nwaneri's not been starting games. He's a young kid. He'll come. But the way we are with no Odegaard, I can't see any other option but to stick Nwaneri in there, because he's only going to improve us. He ain't going to make us worse.
I'm not upset that he didn't start either, but Andrew, we saw him start against Preston, which we talked about briefly on Friday as well, and he scored a goal, and for such a young lad, he is a huge man. I'm just seriously concerned about so much pressure coming on the lad. We've seen players before come through and just end up just popping and burning, you know.
Yeah, but I think he's big enough. He's proved that he's got
Back in a minute.
He's got the minerals to go and do it, hasn't he? You know,
He's
you're
not.
going. He's gone.
I just had a pint of water before I come on here.
I kept waving my water bottle, thinking that's going to make him want to use the loo in a minute.
Make sure you mute before you go anywhere.
he's not speaking, but he can hear us, Andrew. He can hear us all laughing at him. Oh yeah, he's got his earphones in still. He knows now that we're going to be very nice to him. Let's be nice to him tonight. Anyway, Andrew, what was you talking about then, mate? Before you rudely got cut off by our Fergus.
What were we saying? Yeah, we were saying about where he was now. But I think he's definitely got. Someone said to me the other day, I think it's a good way. He's got the minerals to go and do it, and he has. He's got enough talent, and he's got enough energy about him, and he's got enough to. I mean, I still think he should have come on at half time. I think bringing him on in the 61st minute just wasn't. He couldn't do. You know, we'd do, and maybe it was that some of the players around him as well that were still being a little bit negative. But you know, you look at some of the skills that he did, and he was energy in front of the back four. He was trying to change that game, but everybody around him just wasn't. And come back to the point again. Saka, when he went down the back of his Achilles, he's taken a knock. He's not playing. So, I'd give him a go.
Yeah.
What have we got to lose?
Yeah.
We've got nothing to lose at all.
You are right, Andrew. There, something was wrong with Saka for the last half hour of the game. He got took out nasty. He was on the wrong end of a nasty tackle, and he went down, and he wasn't in normal self for the rest of the game. And that's an interesting point, right? Because I saw people all on social media saying the ref was all right, we didn't get any dodgy positions. And I don't think the ref was that bad, but I honestly thought he let Newcastle niggle and didn't give them a booking. The booking early in the game, that stops all the niggles, doesn't it? It takes away all the dodgy tackles that they put in. And all he was doing was the referee kept giving that to the Newcastle players with his hands like that. Like, you're okay, calm down. So they kept kicking. Nothing that's going to kill you, but they kept kicking. They kept breaking up play, which stopped us playing, And the ref just kept saying, yeah, free kick, all right. Eventually, he dished a couple of cards out, but it came much too late in the game.
But Partey got covered twice.
Yeah, I was going to say, Partey done two fouls, and the referee pulled him aside at the beginning of the game. Next one, you're going in the book, and as somebody said here, Joe Linton gets away with murder and Bruno too, and they were lumping into everybody. Listen, we talk about
Can we talk about Milan soon, Ferg?
We will do. The last one, because
and eating pizza. And then drinking more beer.
No
and
beer,
having
no
a
beer
nice
in Milan.
bottle of Italian wine to finish the evening off,
No beer in Milan.
Waking up the following morning with a banging head. Oh, Jesus, I forgot my missus is listening. I'm not doing none of that, right? I forgot
two beers.
I'm not doing any of that.
Well, shut up a second, because you've got to get to bed early. Two questions. Now, Mary coming on 61 minutes. I was screaming for a halftime substitution. Alex, I think you already mentioned, or Andrew, I think, also mentioned halftime substitutions. Does some of this lie at the foot of Arteta? Was that poor game management? There's 4 or 5 times in the 4 or 5 years that he's been with us, I've questioned his game management, and this is another one where I questioned, because I thought he should have done something sooner. Alex?
Yeah, I think I watched it in the pub, and I think a lot of the people in there were surprised when the same 11 players came out, because we didn't finish off the half too well. I think we started well in the first 10 minutes, but we seemed to lose a bit of intensity and timing in the passes. So yeah, I think you can. I think it's fair to question some of the decisions, and we know he can be quite stubborn with how he sets up the team. And if he thinks that's the right way, sometimes he leaves it a bit too late, changing the game. And I mean, that's maybe an area where Arteta can improve. He can improve in areas as well as the players. So I think he should have changed the game a bit earlier. Trossard just didn't look good from the get-go. So I would have liked to see it Wanyeri instead of him from halftime. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult because nothing really worked that day. So could he have changed it? I don't know. I don't know if he could.
Trevor, last word on the Newcastle game. Rice missing that header in stoppage time. Great delivery again by Saka. He had 2 or 3 great possible assists that didn't come off. What was that like up in the gods with the aerial view in Newcastle? You must have thought you were going flying out across that balcony, didn't you?
It was just, to be honest, mate, we hadn't looked like I didn't feel we were going to score all through the second half. And yeah, I went up a bit and we came down again. And then I said to my lad, come on, let's get out of here, because after that, you thought Rice didn't have a good day all round, did he? Rice wasn't his normal self, and he wasn't just that header. There was a few other bits of his game that were missing, right? So at the end of the day, for me, if I've got to sum it up, we got what we deserved out of the game, really, for the game we played and the level we played at, and our inventiveness and our pressure and whatever else just weren't up to it, and we got what we deserved. Newcastle scored a great goal, blocked us off all over the park after that, and laid a challenge. Said, "Come on, Arsenal, beat us if you can. Come and beat us. We're 1-0 up now. It's over to you. Come and beat us." And we couldn't. We weren't good enough.
Gary in the chat, no need for anyone to respond, but it's just more of a reflection. He's come along. What concerns me, we lose again at Newcastle away. You've got a question if we've really improved enough, and I get that sentiment. Heath also mentions, and we will discuss Edu, but do you think Edu had the Edu situation had any impact over the weekend? The Edu situation, I understand, has been going on for longer than today, and I would doubt that would make any impact at all, Heath, on the actual the game itself. 8 points adrift, I think it is. And Andrew, you put in the private chat, the only team to come back from 8 points behind after 10 games to win the title was Blackburn, 94-95 season. Can we do it? I know many of us in our WhatsApp groups, me chatting with the guys in the pub, bearing in mind it was the early kickoff, prior to Man City and Liverpool playing, all felt that the title had just evaded us. There's a lot of Trevor. You're right to shake your head. Bull crap. Trevor, you're right to shake your head because there's a lot of football still to be played.
7 points as well.
Is it 7?
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. But my question was, and I'll put this open to the floor. Whoever wants to come back first. Liverpool looked sluggish in the first half. They came back, and in my view, were lucky, but they got what they needed. They got the win in their game. Man City really, really struggled. Looked really, really heavy-legged. Arsenal and even Villa yesterday. All these teams are playing in Europe, playing international football, playing cup games. Is it getting too much for them, Trev?
Ferg, listen, I've been saying it on this podcast for a few weeks now. Man City have been nicking wins and they're going to come unstuck.
Yeah,
I've been saying it for weeks. Man City are not playing anywhere near their level. They've won games, but they've nicked them. And I knew that they were going to fall down somewhere. I actually predicted on Friday that Bournemouth would beat them 1-0, right? Liverpool have come back and beaten Brighton. They're looking strong at the minute, but I don't think they're going to stay the course. I really don't. Chelsea could only go away and get a draw at an average team like Man United. A draw for me at Man United would be like a loss, the way Man United are playing at the moment, And then Aston Villa, whose praises I've been singing with all season, go to an average side like Tottenham and get absolutely battered. So don't be telling me the league's over because we've had 2 losses in a row, 2 losses we could have done without, 2 losses that we didn't see coming, 2 losses that we didn't expect, but nevertheless 2 losses. Don't tell me the season's over when Man City are playing like they are, when Liverpool are going to fade, in my opinion, when Chelsea can only draw at Man United, and Aston Villa go to Tottenham and get spanked. Of course the season ain't over. We're 7 games in, for Christ's sake. There is everything to play for. And if I thought that our team were packing it up after 7 games, I'd cash my season ticket in and I wouldn't bother going no more.
No, I agree. It's just, it was probably the raw feeling of the day and knowing what games were coming up and everything as well. And
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think many had that reaction as well, didn't they? Like, because we're so used to we've got a 7-point gap to City. Oh, it's done now because of the way they play. But we just got to remember they're missing one of their most important players this season as well, Rodri. And like you just said, I mean, they're not playing up to the standards we're used to them playing. So it's just a different season than we're used to.
City will drop points, and they've still got to come to the Emirates. So we'll take 3
Yeah,
off them at the Emirates.
And we've got to go to Liverpool, and Liverpool and City got to play each other. Aston Villa will have a say in this, and Chelsea, who we're seeing at the weekend, they'll have a say in it as well, because I think they are more improved than they were last season. Listen, Trevor, I know all you want to talk about. You got 15 minutes.
No. But on the other hand, right, we must remember, if we're sensible Arsenal fans, we talk about all the opposition like that. It is an absolute fact that if we keep playing to the levels we've been at the last 2 weeks, then we don't win no league. We don't even come top 4. So, it's not just about the other teams losing, which they're doing. We need to pick our game up, find what's missing, and put it right. And Arteta stirs my faith to do that. Right, Fergus, are we talking about what I think we're talking about?
We are. And we are going to talk about Milan, but Arteta did say finding solutions, and that's what he's got to do. He's got to find solutions. In our WhatsApp group, the guy said we need to win in Milan. We need to win away at Chelsea. Personally, myself, I want to win. I want to get back to winning ways after losing the game. But the most important thing, Alex, is not to lose the game, your away games in this new format. I think the key is to get at least a point. Where are you briefly on Milan? Where do you see as your main threats? And what are you hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, a draw would be a really decent result at Milan. They're a really, really good team. We have to remember it's only, 2 years ago, they were in the Champions League final against City. And they've got so many players with experience. One of our old players, Mkhitaryan, he's still doing really, really well for them. And then they've got Lautaro Martinez, Argentinian striker up front, who just scores goals for fun. And Thuram as well. They've got a lot of good players. And as most Italian sides, they're just solid defensively as well. They play a 3 at the back with wing backs, 3 or 5 at the back, however you want to put it, and then 3 midfielders and 2 up front. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a difficult game, and I think coming away with a draw would be a decent result. But it would be so good to bounce back after that game against Newcastle and after what's happened today with Edu leaving and some questions mark within the club. So. I mean, it would just be it's a good opportunity to go out and just put something straight. And I think we are a good away performance due as well.
Trevor, your thoughts?
I'm very much with Alex. I think that a draw would be an acceptable result. It wouldn't surprise me if we went there and nicked a win. It wouldn't surprise me. I think we've got the tools to do that against a good side. I don't think Nwaneri should start in. I see a question earlier. I don't think Nwaneri should start in Milan because it's a completely different ball game. And if Nwaneri does start, he should come in for one of the wide players. I don't think he should come into our midfield at all. I think that we need White to be fit, we need Partey moved into midfield alongside Rice. We need that solid back 4 as we've had them. And then we're in with a proper shout in Milan. We're in with a proper shout. And I looked, as Alex just said, I looked at Milan's record the other day. And it's quite impressive, They're not doing bad at all, and they've got a cracking side, and they're scoring goals and they're defending well. But these are the games in the past that Arsenal have gone away and nicked something out of. They've got a habit of going to the San Siro or the Nou Camp or the Bernabeu and nicking a win. It's happened before, and hopefully it'll happen again. And if we get our feet back under us and start playing as we can do, there's absolutely no reason why we can't win it. If we play like we did on Saturday against Newcastle, we're going to ship 4 or 5 for sure.
We can play like we did in the first half against Liverpool. We will do it.
PSG,
Andrew,
how well did we play against PSG as well?
When Trevor mentioned playing Rice and Partey, do you think he should be playing Rice and Partey alongside each other, or should, if this is given Ben White's available, or should we also bring in Jorginho, allowing us to keep Trossard on the bench and play Havertz in that sort of role, or Jesus in that 10 role, and Martinelli on the wing, and then bring on Trossard later as the impact sub that he has been. Should Jorginho, or could Jorginho be the key to allowing us to change that formation in this game?
That Rice and Partey combination of midfield, isn't it, is always what we've wanted with Odegaard. That's what a lot of us have always spoken about, said is the best midfield combination.
But we haven't got Odegaard, we're assuming.
But we haven't got Odegaard, we're assuming. So yes, I would. Personally, I would exactly that. Rice and Partey in the midfield, providing Ben White's fit. I mean, you look at how many combinations we've had in that back four this season. It's been absolutely scary. How many different players have played in that back four, especially over the last few weeks. But I just think Rice and Partey gives us that balance in the midfield. If we can get Jorginho in there as well, and yeah, let's get the wingers running at them. If we can get them going, and we can get the football passing, and we can get the one-touch football and Saka going, and then we can sort of impact on the box. Then yeah, I mean, we need something a lot more positive than we did Saturday. And I think if Arteta's looking for solutions, that's the solution for me that would work.
Alex, who do we have on that left side of the defence to feed Martinelli, who looked lost at the weekend?
I mean, presumably it's going to be Timber, isn't it? Yeah. If White's fit as well, so yeah. I mean, he gives us a lot defensively. I think Timber, he managed Salah really well when we played Liverpool, and he's top class defensively. He just needs to add more offensively, and hopefully it just comes with him playing games on the left-hand side, and him building a relationship with Martinelli. Martinelli didn't do too well against Newcastle either. A lot of when he got the ball, head down, run straight to the byline, and just sort of do nothing with it. So hopefully he has a better game. He's been a bit up and down this season, but I mean, many of our players has been. So we can use his pace, definitely, Martinelli. And hopefully Timber's going to be the one feeding balls to him on the left-hand side. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it goes. How much of the initiative are we going to let Inter have? How much are we going to sit back and rely on the counter? Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game from a tactical standpoint as well.
Trevor, would you like a Mourinho special or a Pep special from Arteta?
I want to see. I think if we go and try to stretch it too far, we'll get beaten. I honestly do. I think we've got to be really sensible. Play maybe a bit like Newcastle did at the weekend against us. Hopefully nick a goal and then close it down. I actually wouldn't mind Jorginho playing in this game because he's got a wise old head on his shoulders and he'll read the game well. So I wouldn't mind if they squeeze Jorginho in there somehow, even if they play Jorginho and Partey and move Rice up the field. I don't know. I'm a bit tangled with that, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jorginho on the field. Ferg, just because I can't put comments to you, I can't talk to you. When we move on from this in a minute, I've got a little 1 minute of Trev time, and it's serious stuff. Yeah. All joking aside, right?
By all means.
I'm fuming.
So Jeff asked in the chat, is Odegaard definitely not playing? Odegaard is coming back to fitness. If Odegaard gets any time, I think it'd be 15, 20 minutes at the end, which would be a good sign if he could get 15 or 20 minutes at the end. Hence why I would be all right with Jorginho starting, because he doesn't have the legs for a whole 90 minutes. You could rotate the midfield around and get Odegaard on for a little bit, and then he could hopefully be good for Chelsea at the weekend. Do we want to do predictions of what we think tomorrow? I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Trev, quick score, then I'll go to you guys.
I'll happily say 1-0 to the Arsenal. A biased 1-0 to the Arsenal. A blinkered 1-0 to the Arsenal, but a 1-0 we're more than capable of getting.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'm the same. Good old 1-0 to the Arsenal. Take that.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, we're all going a bit conservative, aren't we? I think, yeah, I'll go 1-0 as well. I'll take a 0-0 draw as well. That would be acceptable, but of course, want to come away with a win.
it would be good if we did a repeat of when Henri and Edu even scored in the 5-1 at the San Siro in that game. That would be absolutely beautiful. And you know what? Because you're going to be modelling his shirt tomorrow, I do want Jorginho to start, and he's going to get a goal from a set piece.
He's just copied me then, Fergus.
Edu, Jorginho header.
Jorginho header, that's it.
Or a screamer like he did at Villa.
Then Sunday...
I don't care if he farts one in from the crack of his arse if we score. I don't care how we score.
Sunday is my beautiful wife's birthday, so I'm not going to Stamford Bridge. Some of the guys are, Trev, you can't go either, with all the travel and everything else is going. But what we're hoping for Stamford Bridge, I think we all feel a little bit flat after the weekend and a little bit more... cautious. The bullishness seems to have gone. I'm hoping they come back, and Chelsea are finding a bit of form. They're not quite there. I think they're probably 4 or 5 games from actually turning into a decent side, but they're still trying to find their right starting 11. Cole Palmer, outstanding player, and he's doing really, really well. But they've got some other randoms that pop up here and there. What's your thoughts on what we do at Stamford Bridge on Sunday afternoon?
Who?
Oh,
you.
Oh, right.
You're still thinking about farting a goal out of your ass.
I think it's going to be our most difficult challenge of the season so far. Chelsea have surprised me. I didn't expect them to play anywhere near the levels they are, and they're playing really well. They've got players that didn't look like they could kick a ball last season, scoring for fun, and any side that's got Cole Palmer in it is going to have a chance. I'd like to think that we'll turn it all around and go to Chelsea and beat them like we have done previously. It's going to be a tough game at Stamford Bridge on Sunday, a tough game. But I can't see any... We can't continue the levels of Bournemouth and Newcastle. It can't happen. We're too good for that. So I'm thinking... we turn it around tomorrow, on Wednesday, and we nick a 1-0 in Milan. We bring that confidence and that form back, and we go and do Chelsea 2-0. That's for me this week.
Yeah, listen, it's huge. Hente says if the Gunners can beat Chelsea on Sunday, only 2 points off the pace, the equivalent of the fixture last season. So the visit to Stamford Bridge is massive. Alex, your thoughts on the visit to Stamford Bridge? I remember going there, it was the 4-2. And Trevor beat the crap out of me. I had bruises for about 2 or 3 weeks afterwards.
Not intentionally. Listen, Fergus.
It wasn't intentional.
If I'm celebrating a goal for giving it all out and you happen to put your head in the way, that's your problem. Not
No. You actually grabbed me, picked me up, squeezed my rib cage. I probably cracked every rib in my body. That was unreal. But before that, I remember in the pub at Victoria Station, and everyone's going, all feeling like we are feeling right now. And I went, nah. Going to get at least a point, and then went, I don't know what football you're watching, Ferg. And then we end up winning 4-2. So, how are you feeling?
Yeah, that was back then when we thought Eddie was going to win the Ballon d'Or, wasn't it? He scored 2 goals that game, didn't he?
God help us.
Yeah, the Blue Navarre he'll win.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's going to be a tricky game, but I'm more than confident that we can get a result there. They've had a good start to the season, and like you said, Cole Palmer, he's a fantastic player. Nicholas Jackson, he's improving as well. But there's loads of room for improvement for us as well. And I think, like Trev said, we go out there at Inter, gain some confidence, and then we're ready. And I mean, in the perfect scenario, like you said, Odegaard is going to be playing, and that would lift us massively. And yeah, that would be a great story, wouldn't it? If he came back and we got a result. And like Hente said, if we do so, we're almost on pace with the fixtures and the points from last season. So, I mean, yeah, it's an important game, and it will sort of depend on how we do on Wednesday against Inter as well. But I think we can get a result there at Chelsea.
Andrew, briefly, keeping in pace with where we were last season. I don't think other teams are as good as they were. So it means that if we can keep in pace and keep going and going, we can still be in that title race. What do you feel about Chelsea and give you. No, we'll save score predictions for like the preview game. So go on.
I think the key to the Chelsea game is we've got to play a disciplined game, so we can't be giving anything away from around the box and letting Cole Palmer take free kicks and giving him corners, just to ping on us. So I mean, they're averaging 2 goals a game. They're conceding 1.2 every game. So we can do this. We can shut them down and we can. I think we'll beat them. If good performance on Wednesday night, carry that over into Sunday. And we like going to. They're always good games when we go to Stamford Bridge, and they're always decent scores. So, but I can feel another one coming on. So I think we'll do it. I know we'll do it.
Okay. Before we let Trevor go into Trevor time, briefly, Edu, Arsenal footballer, Arsenal invincible, Arsenal's former or soon to be former director of football, has left the club. How do you guys feel about it? Briefly, very briefly, it's your time anyway, Alex. So go on.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised when I saw it. I mean, he's been an integral part of the sort of rebuild we've been through with Arteta. And I think he joined us in 19, didn't he? And we've made a lot of good signings under him in that time span. So yeah, I mean, he's helped us move forward as a club, and now it's time for him to move on and do something different. I'm sure he's going to be well paid in that new role. So I mean, I think we can all understand him in regards to wanting to progress in his own career. It's business, so I'm also confident that we're going to get in a good replacement who understands the club and the culture and can sort of step in and do what Edu's done and keep moving us forward as a club. So, I mean, I was surprised, but I'm still confident that we are going to get in a good replacement.
Andrew, 23 players, 24 if you argue Pepe, because he was on the cusp of when he came in. I think he wanted other players, but it was pushed through by Raul. 24 players. Looking through some of the names, some really good names in California, Raya, Rice, Havertz, Timber, and some less in the sense of like Marquinhos and Turner and so on. What's your view on Edu and him moving on?
Yeah, he has been instrumental in some of the big signings. But I mean, how instrumental has he actually been in some of those signings? He's you've seen Rice walking in, etc. He's always been the first person to greet them. But we don't know any more behind the scenes on that one. Further than how much he has had to say with it. I'm personally, fair play to him. If he wants to move on and go to, he's chasing the money wherever he wants to be, then fine. As I agree with Alex, as long as we bring somebody in who's a decent replacement, we can do it. But players should want to come and play for Arsenal because of we're Arsenal, not because of who's bringing them in. They want to come and wear that shirt, and I think that's the reason that I want players in to play for this club.
Trevor, Arnie comes along, says Runarsson was his best signing. Well, he would do. Arnie's Icelandic, so he's a bit like me with the Irish players and Captain Corporal Jenkinson because he was a
unbelievable, Arnie. I want to see you when I'm in Iceland in January, Arnie.
Trev, my view is Edu, yes, as an invincible and an Arsenal player and an ambassador for the club, and his connection with the fans was fantastic. I don't think he was as instrumental in a lot of the signings as other members, but as a management team together, they achieved what they have achieved, and we've achieved a lot in the last 5 years. I don't think he'll be, I can't think of the right word, but a vital miss. I think that he is replaceable. Somebody like Per Mertesacker could step in and understand the culture, as Alex said. And I think other people probably had more impact. You could see in the Arsenal Amazon video that Richard Garlick had more influence on it. I don't think he was over keen on Tim Lewis coming in. And Josh has got more involved in the club now than he did when he first joined the management team. So there's been a lot of change from the point that Edu and Mikel stepped into the role. I wish him well. I wish him luck, and he's always a gooner, and I'll leave it there. What do you think?
I was a bit surprised because I thought he was an Arsenal man through and through, but I'm just a fan, so I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. But what I do know is that before Edu and Arteta came, we had Raul and Mislintat, and we were awful. We were signing absolute dregs. And not only that, you got the feeling that the Cronkies weren't too involved or bothered about the club. You never heard a lot from them. When Arteta and Edu came in and the fans had those demonstrations at the Emirates Stadium, I think that was the three-pronged attack that made the Cronkies realise that they had to run a football team and run it properly, otherwise they were going to be in massive trouble. And they decided to put their trust in Arteta and Edu. And before you could blink, the others had gone. The others that had been robbing us blind for the last couple of years and taking us up a blind alley had gone. And we've made many improvements, and this brought us up to where we are now. So personally, I'm sorry to see Edu go, but I wish him all the best, like you, folk. I wish Edu all the best. But I don't care where he's gone. I don't care what he's up to next. He's now gone. And I'm a very selfish Arsenal fan. For me, it's all about the Arsenal. So Edu's gone. We get someone else in. We move on. Job done. See you later.
Before we go, I know you want your say, but you know what's hilarious, and Andrew will know this. I work from this very same room, and when we go on our Teams meetings and Zoom meetings, we got these fake backgrounds that they got in the news rooms and everything else. And since Aaron has joined me behind, the amount of times I'm sitting there and somebody goes, "Oi, there's somebody behind you. Who's that poking over your head?" Because if I move in the wrong way, all of a sudden you got Aaron up there. It was really, really funny. It's just because I saw him behind me. Yeah. But anyway, Trevor, you said you wanted a couple of minutes and then we will close.
It's going to take about 15 seconds for because I heard something. I didn't watch it at the time. I had to go back and watch it back again. The game, the Chelsea-Man United game on Sunday, when Keane and Neville and whoever else were talking about the lack of atmosphere in the stadiums. The fans are too quiet. The fans are not trying. The fans are not lifting. I was absolutely offended by that, because them people that are doing the talking, it is your employers, Sky TV, that have caused all of these issues. No one else. The game was fine until Sky come in, right, and started moving games to impossible times for fans to get to. Started making it impossible to get tickets if you're a working man. Made it so the clubs have to get every penny in they can just to keep up. So ticket prices have gone through the roof. Made it so that clubs would rather have people, tourists in and hospitality people in, because they're the people that are going to spend all the money, not us regular fans, right? But what you need to remember, Sky TV, is that the bubble will burst one day. And once the bubble bursts, and Sky TV and Neville and Keane and that are on their way, we'll still be here, us fans. We'll still be here. And I hope it comes really soon. I hope it all goes bang, because what they said about the atmosphere and the fans at Man United on Sunday was bang out of order, and it showed a total lack of understanding and passion about what football fans mean to football. And it's just bubbled me up all week, and I had to get it off my chest. Football is about us fans, us four here, and everyone else that goes to watch a game. Sod Neville, sod Keane, and absolutely sod Sky TV. Sky TV, you are the problem from start to finish. You created this. You ain't putting it right. So the sooner you're out of our game, the better. Sorry, folk, I'm done.
I'm going to press that button.
Oh, go on. Oh,
I
no.
can see Alex is sitting there like that. Andrew singing along with it.
I'm getting
we're
ready
not
for
having a-
Wednesday.
Are we not having a full episode of Top of the Pops tonight, then, or what?
No.
I love
That was
that
funny.
song.
That was funny as hell on Friday. Oh, funny as hell. Andrew, thank you very much. From guest on Block 5 to guest on the phone into guest on a full show. How have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been really good, chaps. I've really enjoyed it. I'm not saying I was nervous to start with. I was like thinking, well, I've got some royalty to keep up with here. So, guys, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well done, Andrew.
Theo
Well
wants
done,
in
mate.
next, though. He keeps saying he's actually. I can hear him at the door.
Yeah,
We've got to get Theo in
really
at some point.
You know those Christmas hampers you get Twiglets. We'll get the Scampy Fry version for him, and then we'll be fine. Alex, get some sleep, mate. You've got an early start.
Trev, I'll see you in 12 hours.
Alex, I'll see you in Bergamo, mate, when we get on that bus. And we
Yes.
might crack a beer on it, eh?
Boys,
that
have a
sounds
great
good.
time. Keep safe, though, yeah. But I've enjoyed it.
Keep safe.
Up the Arsenal.
Keep
Will
safe.
do.
Listen, you have been watching Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Almost 300 of you watching right now across the platforms that we're on. We would love if you could take a moment, just go to Guns and Yellow Ribbons on Twitter. On YouTube, and if you'd like to like and follow and subscribe the channel, it would really help us. The fees for these sort of platforms have really increased, and by you going on there helps us try and just mitigate some of the costs, and we mitigate none right now.
Ferg, don't forget, we've been really successful on Mondays. Other podcasts are starting to move in on our times a bit, but we ain't going nowhere, people. We ain't going nowhere.
7 o'clock. We'll be here Monday at 7 o'clock. We'll be here probably Thursday again, depending on what time are you home at, Trev?
Friday.
Okay,
I
maybe
can do Thursday, probably.
Okay.
No, I
Well,
can do Thursday. My name's Alex.
Right, okay. Well, on that note,
That's
you've got him for 2 days in Milan. Good luck. The Arsenal, fuck the Spurs.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.